Behold the power of the gods!
So you want to talk about clerics?
No.
You're going paladins, huh?
No.
Druids?
No, I mean the race of the gods, Aasimar.
Oh, you want to do DnD Aasimar 5e. What character class should you play? Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Hey, maybe it's your first time hanging out in Ted's basement. It's a place where we like to talk about news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Sometimes we talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
So it continues. We're going with our series, What Character Class Should You Play? And the race we're looking at this time is the Aasimar. So let's look at the base race. Also, this race can be found in Volo's Guide to Monsters.
So as we said, this is the divinely inspired, literally the race of the gods. You've got, positive energy flowing through your veins. So what do we wind up getting mechanically?
Well, being endowed and blessed by the gods themselves and celestial blood flowing through your veins, that gives you that +2 to charisma.
You're also going to walk away with dark vision because, just about every race has it, but you're also going to gain that resistance to necrotic and radiant damage.
All right, don't forget Healing Hands, so you get the ability to heal once per day, your level as an action.
That's pretty nice. You're going to wind up with, as you would expect, the basic language of Common and Celestial.
But that's not all. You also get the Light Bearer ability, which means you get the Light Cantrip.
It makes a lot of sense considering that, you've got positive energy that's right there. A free cantrip can't hurt.
Do you want inspiration for your D&D game? It may not be divinely inspired, but it can be inspired by Nerdarchy.
Sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter. You'll get tips, you'll get advice, and sometimes you'll get stuff that you can drop right into your 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons game.
You'll also find out how to game with Nerdarchy. Find a link down in the description to the Nerdarchy newsletter.
So we like to, break the sub-races down and figure out, what is the best class and what are some unorthodox, options for each subclass. So where do we start?
Okay, so we have 3 sub-races for the Aasimar. You're going to get the Fallen, the Protector, and the Scourge.
All right, so I know you in your alphabetical order, so let's start off with the Fallen.
All right, so not only do I like alphabetical order, so does Watts, because that's how they listed them. So the Fallen is going to give you a bonus to strength in addition to your charisma bonus.
So this is kind of our, kind of Dragonborn-esque angel, huh?
I guess so. I mean, they have similar stat adjustments anyway. So at 3rd level, all the Aasimars basically get their wings, and Necrotic Shroud is what the Fallen gets. So basically, when you activate this ability, everyone within 10 foot of you is going to have to make a saving throw or be frightened, and once per round, you can do extra damage. You do necrotic damage.
Looks, pretty fun, but we got strength, we got, a damaging shroud. Where's our expected classes going to go, Dave?
All right. With that bonus to strength and charisma, you're going to be good at any of the charisma casters, and you're going to also do all right with martial as well. So fighter and paladin, right off the bat, they're very martial. Any paladin will do, but Paladin Conquest actually has a nice synergy with that Necrotic Shroud because of the frighten ability.
Anything that's going to be, somewhat, gishy and... on the martial side, your Bard of Valor, your Blade Lock, they're going to fit in really nicely as well.
That being said, with the Aasimar getting that +2 to charisma, any Warlock or any Bard subclass would work just fine.
And, obviously the Sorcerer is going to work nicely. And if something happens to get too close, you can use that Shroud to make them go away. Okay,
so now we're going to go to our unexpected classes. And the first one I went with is Barbarian, specifically the Zealot.
The Zealot has that kind of, pseudo-spiritual angelic connection because they don't need material components to be resurrected. So I definitely see the fitting there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff with them where it's like the gods are always pulling them back to the mortal plane. You're getting that bonus to strength. Now, your charisma bonus isn't going to be a big deal, but I think this would be a fun combination.
And I don't think it's too far of a stretch to also, take this to one step farther on Barbarian and go to the Ancestral Guardian, because you have that sort of spiritual connection anyway.
I knew you were going to go there, Ted. I just knew it. So next up is the Druid, specifically the Moon Druid. The reason why I say that, basically all the abilities that Aasimar gets, except for your ability to cast the light cantrip, are all things you could do while you're wild shaped.
So I could turn into a bear and still use my healing hands?
Yeah, I think it'd be a healing paw at that point, but absolutely you could. Your resistances will still apply, and you could also enact your Necrotic Shroud as well.
Since they're not spells, they're just an ability that you activate. That's pretty awesome. Another option is going to be the Cleric, and since you're dealing with that bonus to strength, you could wind up going with the War Cleric or the Tempest Cleric.
Yeah, I feel like the more aggressive clerics thematically fit with the Falling as well, because they also come across to me as being a bit more aggressive and martial, so I thought it would be a nice pairing.
With the Cleric, if you're not actually casting spells that your DC and the hit are important, you can easily go into battle and with that higher strength, and you can use your bonus to be like, well, look, I'm a good talker, I'm a good combatant, I'm not so wise.
Next, we're going to move into our Protector Aasimar, and they get a +1 to Wisdom.
The Protector get Radiant Soul. They're going to be able to get a flight speed of 30 when they put out their wings, and once around, they're going to be able to do radiant damage.
So as you can see, all of our Aasimars are pretty much loaded onto the main class for the most part. Now let's jump into our expected character classes.
Well, obviously, with that +1 to Wisdom and the plus to Charisma, we are going to be looking heavily at our casters. We're going to like Cleric. We're going to like Druid. Obviously, we're going to like, any of the Charisma-based casters.
Yeah, so our Charisma casters, they're going to be really strong for that, and that's going to be Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, any of them to do, like you said, Cleric and Druid. This is a very castery subclass.
So if you really wanted to have fun, you could mix and match, any of these with the Protector, and, you're going to have a good multi-class character.
So next up, we're going to do our unexpected character classes, and here we went Paladin and Monk.
All right, now obviously with the Paladin getting the bonus to Charisma works. We don't have any strength pluses going on, but that plus to Wisdom makes them far more intelligent. But, having access to your healing hands, complements their lay on hands ability, and the Radiant Shroud I think is going to be a lot of fun and kind of mixes well with their smites.
Not only that too, the Radiant Shroud is also going to make them more mobile in the battlefield. Always good for the Monk. Your Monk abilities bring up all of your speed, not just your land speed. So that all kind of ties in nicely. With that bonus to Wisdom and the way the Protector is put together, it makes me feel like they're more spiritual, more enlightened, maybe more tranquil. So thematically, I felt like Monk and Paladin fit for this particular subclass.
I can totally see it. So next up is our final subrace, and that's going to be the Scourge, and they start off with a plus to Con.
Their thing is going to be Radiant Consumption. They get it at 3rd level like everyone else. When they activate it, they shed Bright Light for 10 feet, Dim Light for an additional 10 feet. In addition to that, everyone within 10 feet of them, including themselves and their allies, takes half their level in radiant damage. Ouch, it hurts. But on the plus side, they have resistance, so they're going to half that damage. They're not going to take as much as everyone else. And then once around, they can also deal additional damage equal to their level in radiant damage. So these guys just kind of hurt to be around.
Well, they are a Scourge. It says so right in the name.
True that.
So this is going to be, they're a terror on the battlefield. This is something that you could have a lot of fun with if you wanted to play a character who is honestly looking to just kind of destroy everything that's out there. So we're going to move into our, what's our expected, and what are we looking at here, Dave?
What we're going to be looking at is all of our charisma-based character classes. You're going to get a bonus to Con. A bonus to Con is never not useful, so that works out really well. But we're going to get Bard, we're going to get Paladin, we're going to get Sorcerer, Warlock.
So obviously we want to, any of them are going to work, but anything that's a little bit gishy in that mix, your Paladin, your Blade Lock, your Valor Bard, they're going to be more ideal because you're going to be in the thick of it more often. Your charisma is going to be higher, your con's going to be higher, and therefore those extra hit points are going to be more beneficial.
Yeah, well, not only that too, when you combine that with radiant consumption, it just makes sense that you would play that type of character. So now we have our unexpected character classes.
So reading through these abilities, the first thing that jumped into my mind was going to be the Barbarian. If you go Totem, you get a lot of resistances. But if you don't go Totem, the Radiant and Necrotic that you're going to get resistance to racially is going to stack very, very nicely with what you've got going on. And then you can get into the thick of it, causing more damage, more pain to all that are around you. I think it'd be a nice mix.
Well, not only that +1 the con is going to add to your hit points as well as your armor class. So Fighter's another great one. Also, specifically, I would want to call out the Champion, because when you get to the higher levels, you basically get a fast healing ability. So that is also going to help offset some of that damage you're taking. But any of the Fighter builds would kind of work. And then finally, we have Druid Circle of the Moon. Again, all of your abilities pretty much are going to stack in wild shape.
So you turn into that bear, you unleash your radiant consumption and just start, chewing through things while they're all dying around you.
So that pretty much sums up the Aasimar. But the question is, what kind of Aasimars are you playing in your game? Tell us all about it in the comments. Before you go, I want to invite you to join the Nerdarchy Adventuring Party and over on Patreon. What can they find there, Ted?
We're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons every month that players and GMs alike can drop right into their game.
But that's not all. We do monthly giveaways, and we automatically enter the patrons into it.
And that's still not all. Every week we're doing a hangout with our patrons and more.
Quest down to the description. Join the Nerdarchy Adventuring Party over on Patreon. And until next time,
stay nerdy.